Hello, fam. I'm back, and I'm not gonna be with you long. I just want to report on on some breaking news and some stuff that's going on in the news cycle. As far as all of these unarmed black men being shot down and murdered by police or race soldiers or deputized citizens or whatever. What you just saw, of course, was from a scene in August. And I'm just gonna give you a little background on the video that you just saw. And this is coming out of USA Today, August 27, 2019. Virginia police were searching for a very dangerous murder suspect. He was caught naked, TV videos shows. Virginia sheriff's deputies on Tuesday arrested a naked man wanted in connection to a triple homicide that left two women and a child dead. Before he was arrested, Matthew Bernard, 18, ran at a reporter at the scene, was maced by an officer, and choked a church caretaker, all while naked, according to video captured by Virginia TV station WSET TV. In the video, which was shared on WSET's Facebook page, Bernard is seen running at an officer who runs away. The officer actually runs away from him, as you see. The officer eventually sprays mace in Bernard's direction, and Bernard moves toward the camera person recording the video. The video cuts away, and Bernard is next seen running at a person near a car. Bernard begins to choke the person before the officer intervenes. WSET identified the person as a church caretaker. Eventually, he was captured by officers using a canine. Two of the victims were the wife and child of Blake Bivens, a double A pitcher in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. ESPN on Tuesday reported that Bernard is the brother of Bivens' wife. The sheriff's officer did not confirm the identities of any of the victims. So it was the wife, it was the mother-in-law, and it was the little child that he killed. I'm sure a lot of you remember that story because this video was posted everywhere. But I just wanted to bring this. I have a reason for showing you this video. And I could show you probably 100 videos like that of police officers running from white suspects or police officers being attacked by other white folks or whatever, and of mass shooters and all of that police take into custody without incident. This man, who of course is running after the police and all of this, was and he's and remember, he's a very, very dangerous suspect. That's what they just said. Virginia police were searching for a very dangerous murder suspect. He had just killed 3 people. But they, you see the sheriff deputy running from the man, and you see him, you see them just playing all this little footsie run back and forth with him. Ain't nobody pulling out no guns, ain't nobody pulling out no tasers, ain't nobody doing none of that. And like I said, I could show you hundreds of videos like this, and how police officers, sheriffs, how law enforcement deals with white folks when they're supposed to be deadly, or they're supposed to be very dangerous, or they're actually attacking the police officers, or they're actually being very, very aggressive towards the police officers, and there's never that level of violence. There's never that need to pull guns and pull out tasers and all this, and they take these people to jail without incident. These folks are not killed or whatever the case may be. I mean, it takes a lot of provoking for the police to actually shoot and kill a white person. And like I said, I could show you hundreds of videos like this, where the suspect or the criminal or the passerby or just somebody standing out there in the crowd or whatever talking to the police, where you got folks. There was one video of a white woman running up on a police officer with a knife. I mean, it's just all kinds of them. And those folks walk away from those situations alive and well. Like I said, mass shooters are caught, you understand what I'm saying, without any incident or whatever, and taken to jail. But we've seen the obvious and we've seen the absolute opposite when it comes to black folks. Black folks who they claim are suspected of committing a crime with no real evidence. Black folks who are unarmed. Black folks who were just stopped for some a simple minor traffic stop. You know what I'm saying? And it's always, well, we thought he had a gun. We thought she had a gun. You understand what I'm saying? Or it's always, I felt like my life was threatened. I felt like my life, I was in danger of my life, or whatever the case may be. And those black folks always end up dead. Which brings me to the case with Sean Reed. Sean Reed is the 23-year, I think it's 23 or 25-year-old black man that was gunned down by police in Indiana, I believe it is. Let me make sure. Yeah, Indianapolis. And the whole thing was caught on his Facebook Live because he was recording the whole time. There was supposed to have been some kind of chase where the police were supposed to be chasing him or whatever. He's doing this live and he's talking throughout the live and all of this. And and for whatever reason, he decides that he's going to stop and he's going to jump out the car and he's going to run from the police. So he's not running towards anybody. He's running from the police. They claim that, he shot at an officer, or they thought he had a gun, or whatever the case may be. Well, you can clearly see in the live that he didn't have on a shirt. He had on some shorts. He was holding a phone. So how he was holding a phone with no shirt on and some shorts and holding a gun and holding the phone down in front of him so you could see his face and see what direction he was going in. Anyway, all of that remains to be seen. Point is that the mainstream media, you understand what I'm saying, and the white supremacists and the racists and the race soldiers and all of those are going to come together and they're going to say, because of his behavior, whatever it was he was doing, because he chose to get out the car, run, do this whole thing on Facebook Live or whatever, that his murder, his killing is justified. That's what they're going to try to do. Say it's justified. They've already talked to his family. His family is already saying stupid shit that mainstream media can use against them and against him or whatever the case may be. They say his older sister is saying stuff like he's always, made some bad decisions and he's always, done some stupid things. And yes, this was a dumb thing that he did and all of that. Okay, but when does running from the police and turning around shouting fuck you, because that's what he says on the video, you can hear him clearly, when does that warrant punishment by death? When has stupidity ever been punishable by death? When has dumbness ever been punishable by death? You understand what I'm saying? And this young man was tased. Because if you have watched the live, if you have watched that clip of the video, he was tased, he went down, there was a brief silence, and then after that silence, there were 14, anywhere between 12 and 14 shots fired after he had already went down. If you watch that live and you listen very carefully, he's tased. That tasing took him down. There's a brief silence after he falls, and then you hear anywhere between 12 and 14 gunshots. Then you got a police officer or a detective or whoever, they say standing over his body, joking about it's going to have to be a closed casket. Which means they probably shot him in the head or shot him in the face or something like that close range and just messed everything up so that they wouldn't be able to open the casket for his burial. See, that's how much of a joke this whole thing is to these police officers. That's how much of a joke it is. And I don't care whether the officer that said that was black or white or whatever. It's still a joke to them. We're used to black collaborators. We're used to white supremacists with black faces. We're used to black people upholding white supremacy. We're used to that. That's nothing new. I won't say most, I won't say all, but probably most black police officers that are on these police forces, you know, go along with this stuff. They go along to get along. But that's nothing to joke about. But my point is, at what point does just doing something stupid, doing something dumb, if you caught and you arrested and you stay in trial and you convicted, does just doing something dumb, just doing something stupid say that your punishment is death? Because see, they're executing these black folks. They're executing black people. They're not getting their day in court. You claim that these people are suspected of committing a crime. You claim these people are suspected of doing something wrong, but they're not getting their day in court. The police officers are acting as judge, jury, and executioner. And they have determined that every black man that is suspected of something, every black person that's suspected of something, well, they have determined that you automatically get the death penalty. You just automatically get the death penalty. You don't get your day in court like the Dylan Roofs and the Matthew. What was this boy? What was this little white boy's name? Matthew something. The Matthew Bernards and all that. You don't get your day in court. You understand what I'm saying? You don't get to stop by McDonald's or wherever, or Burger King or wherever, and get you something to eat before you end up locked up. No, these black men are being executed in the street. The presumption of innocence goes out the window when it's a black man. When it's a black person, the presumption of innocence goes out the window, and that police officer decides, okay, well, I'm going to be judge, jury, and executioner. I'm going to find you guilty, and I'm going to sentence you to death right here. So all of this about they need to be trained on how to de-escalate. They know how to de-escalate. They know how to de-escalate. They know how to keep a situation from escalating. They know how to arrest people without the situation having to come to deadly force and all of that. They show it with white people all the time. They know how to do it. They don't care to do it with black folks. Because once it's a black man, well, okay, he's automatically guilty. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm going to go ahead on and sentence him to death and just get it over with. And this white man, as on countless other videos, is not running away from the police officer. You understand what I'm saying? He's running towards the police officer, naked, suspected of a triple homicide, including a little child, a baby. And they treating him with kid gloves like they scared of him. Had that been a black man running around like that, naked and suspected of killing 3 people, they'd have put I don't know how many gun bullets in him. So I don't want to hear this bullshit about the fact that, you know, it might have been some kind of chase and you know, he was on live and he might have done something stupid or he might have said something stupid or whatever. I don't want to hear that bullshit as being justification for somebody being dead. When unless you could explain to me why this white man in this video right here is not dead. If you can't explain to me why he's not dead, you understand what I'm saying? And the difference between what he's doing and what, say, Sean Reed might have been doing, or Eric Gardner, or Freddie Gray. or Sandra Bland, or many, all the rest of them that are dead now. So unless you can explain to me in something that makes sense why this man, white man, is still alive and why all those black folks are dead, you got to explain it to me. And you got to explain it to me in a way that makes sense. Because if you cannot explain it to me in a way that makes sense, if you cannot explain to me that this isn't racist, this doesn't have anything to do with race, this doesn't have anything to do with skin color, it's something else. Okay, well, unless you can convince me of that something else, shut the fuck up. I'm not interested. Because I know what I see. And like I said, this is just one of many videos. You can go on Google and search all of these different videos with you know, with the white folks going after the police and the white folks approaching the police and all of this kind of stuff. And they walk, you know, and all the mass shooters and all the mass murderers and everything, that 9 times out of 10, unless they kill themselves, they are arrested without incident. Very seldom do the police end up killing them. So I don't want to hear this bullshit that what Sean Reed may or may not have done is justification for him being dead. It's justification for 12 to 14 shots being fired on this one person that's running away and has already been tased and is down. If you listen carefully, you can hear the officers talking about the fact that he had been tased. You see in the video, the moment he was tased and went down. Then, like I said, there's just a brief silence after that. Then you hear 14 shots, 12 to 14 shots. They claim he busted on the police when he first got out the car, but you don't hear a shot. The only shots fired that you hear are the ones that the police officers put in him. Just like with Ahmaud. It's always, see, that's the running narrative for these white supremacists and these race soldiers and all that. That's the running narrative. When they kill a black man, they always got to throw something in there to sully the victim, to make the victim look bad, to make it look like the victim was doing something wrong or the victim was committing a crime or whatever. Why? To condition the general public and the masses to accept the murder of unarmed black men. You understand what I'm saying? And just say, oh, well, they deserved it. Oh, well, their killing was justified. Okay, well, if killing this little white dude that you just seen running around naked and threatening folks and choking church members and all of this kind of stuff, if his killing won't justify it, then you can't justify the killing of nobody else. So you can stop handing us that bullshit. We're not buying it. We're not buying it. And I want to go on record to say that the family of Ahmaud and Sean Reed, these people ought to be ashamed of themselves. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. Why? Because now they're seeing dollar signs. Now the death of their family member looks like a come up. So they're willing to do or say whatever is necessary to get that payout. Let me bring you up to date right quick on what's going on with Ahmaud's case. All right, this is out of USA Today as well. by Nikhil Terry Ellis, May 7, 2020. White father and son arrested in killing of Ahmaud Arbery. Black man gunned down while jogging in Georgia. See, they wanted it to be, they wanted to try to put out there while running away. You understand what I'm saying? Or while running from a crime scene or whatever. But it just won't make no sense that somebody is going to be out breaking in people's houses at 1 something in the afternoon with no transportation. See, shit wasn't making sense. Okay. Atlanta. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation charged a father and son with murder Thursday evening in the death of a black jogger who they suspected was a burglar running through their neighborhood, eventually shooting him on the street and touching off racial outcry throughout the country. Gregory McMichael, 64, a former police officer, and his son Travis McMichael, 34, were both charged with murder and aggravated assault in the February 23rd shooting of Ahmaud Arbery. Local prosecutors had initially refused to charge the pair. A viral video taken by another man in the neighborhood has sparked outrage because it appears to show 2 white men laying in wait for Arbery as he jogs down the street in broad daylight. Now, I'm not going to read this whole article. I'll let y'all read that, but I'm just going to touch on certain things. The video of Travis McMichael shooting Arbery has been spread widely on social media. Alan Tucker, a criminal defense attorney in Brunswick, said in a statement Thursday that he released the video because there was entirely too much speculation, rumor, false narratives, and outright lies surrounding the event. My sole purpose in releasing the video was absolute transparency because my community was being ripped apart by erroneous accusations and assumptions, said Tucker, adding that he had not been retained by anyone for the case. Tucker did not respond to a request for comment on why he had the video. How did he get the video? Anyway. Now get this. I want y'all to listen to this. Gregory McMichael told police they followed Arbery because he appeared to be the person seen on a surveillance video breaking into homes, the police report said. Now, remember, it was supposed to have been so many break-ins and all of this going on in the neighborhood, and that they had seen him on a surveillance camera or somebody that they suspected that looked like him on a surveillance video breaking into people's houses. Well, get this. Just listen. USA Today filed an open public records request with the Glenn County Police Department for burglaries and home break-ins in the Salito Shores neighborhood between January the 1st and February the 23rd. That's the day the boy was killed. The department's records office said in an email Thursday it had no records matching that request. Why? Because it was a lie. There wasn't no break-ins going on. There wasn't no break-ins and no burglaries going on. That was a lie. Because they thought that's all they were going to need. And because the father was already in cahoots with everybody in law enforcement, everybody in the district attorney's office and all of that, because he was already in cahoots with everybody, he figured, okay, well, he knew he could get away with that. All he needed was a plausible excuse. And that's when they came up with this burglary story. So what? Somebody breaking in and burglarizing your neighborhood and all of this within an almost 2-month period, and nobody has reported it. Nobody has reported it to the police, so the police can come out and do some reports or something like that. You heard what I just said. USA Today filed an open public records request with the Glenn County Police Department for burglaries and home break-ins in the Salito Shores neighborhood between January the 1st and February the 23rd. The department's records office said in an email Thursday it had no records matching that request. Why? Because there were no break-ins. Because if there had been break-ins, the police would have been called. And they would have had to make a record of it. They would have had to have taken a police report, and there would be a record of it.
Oh, it's you. You're the creep that's hanging around the body. Why have you got giant toes and bones on it? What is this? What are you? He did it. He definitely did it. He definitely did it. Stop talking. Do you know anything about this, Abby? Shouldn't the court mage have it if it belongs to the court mage, Mr. Naughty?
It's obvious there was special treatment because they aren't in jail, Booker said.
Yeah, okay. I'm not listening to you. Killer man. Well, he dabbles in the necromancy.
Glenn County Commissioner Alan Booker said he doesn't fault the Glenn County Police Department for not making the initial arrest and believes Johnson's office made the call. It's obvious there was special treatment because they aren't in jail, Booker said. Booker said Arbery was a family friend and often saw him in the neighborhood doing landscaping work with his father. He described Arbery as polite and always smiling. Everybody is mad, heartbroken. Some folks who grew up here say we know that racism is here in this community like everywhere else, Booker said, but we didn't think there were folks with that much hatred that they would hunt down a young man like a dog and kill him and then not be in jail for it. So at first they were talking about that they were going to take it to a grand jury and they were going to let the grand jury decide whether or not they were going to do any indicting. Okay, then the video comes out, clearly showing what the hell happened. You understand what I'm saying? Then on top of that, there are no records of anybody reporting anything about any burglaries or break-ins. And then on top of that, you got Crump down there. Benjamin Crump is the one that's supposed to be representing the family. And you got protests and all of this, and then you got everybody else all over the country all stirred up and riled up. You understand what I'm saying? And everybody's attention is on what's going to happen down here. So they were basically backed into a corner where they didn't have much choice. Because once that video came out and once that video was made public, the outrage, the outcry got even louder. And folks are not doing this so much for as a personal thing around him. It's just the people are just tired of this. People are tired of seeing this over and over and over and over and over again. And then when you get a young man that was simply just jogging, that's all he was doing was jogging. And then you get video evidence that these folks laid in wait for him. They stalked him, hunt him down, and killed him. So they have been charged. It remains to see what happens because justice will never be served in that county against him anyway. They need to move the venue for that. You got 2 district attorneys that have already recused themselves, removed themselves from the case because of conflict of interest, because of all the departmental relationship, the relationship with the police department, the relationship with the DA's office, the relationship with the court system, all of that for generations. Because the father started out as a police officer, and then he was a police officer for 7 years. Then he went on to be an investigator in the DA's office. So no matter what we do, and they tried to sully this young man, talking about an arrest he got when he was in high school, and talking about some shoplifting and all of that. Okay, well, all of that combined is not equal to a death sentence. If he went to court and was found guilty of shoplifting and taking a gun, it would not equal to a death sentence. It would not. It would not. That's not what would happen. Same thing that I'm saying about Sean Reed. Whatever he was into. All we saw on the thing was that supposedly he was being chased by the police. He decided he was going to stop and jump out, And then they told him to stop. He turned around and said, fuck you, kept running away from them, not towards them, from them.
Slowly and creepily following a very attractive Argonian woman. It seems of suspicion. Taking ability. Get up.
Yeah, he running from them.
Stand up. Go on, let's have a conversation.
We don't hear, I mean, he jumping out the car and running, doing all of that. They claim he fired a shot at the police. We ain't heard no shot. You understand what I'm saying? He running. He look back, he throw his head back for a little bit and say, fuck you, and start back running. We hear the zzz from him being tased. He goes down. There's a brief silence. And the next thing you know, we hear 12 to 14 gunshots. So does running from the police, jumping out the car and saying fuck you to the police and running away from the police, if you go to court for that and you found guilty of that, are they going to give you the death penalty? Are they going to sentence you to death for that? No. So again, explain to me why he dead. When he was running away, it'd be different if he was running towards the police. They saying stop, 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 stop. You know, he brandishing a gun that they can see. He busting at the police or whatever. But he running away from the police. And you could tell he running away from him because when he said fuck you, he turned his head towards the back of him. So explain to me why he dead. Explain to me why you gotta tase him. Then it takes 14 more shots. And evidently somebody was close enough to do some damage, because they talking about it's gonna have to be an open cast, a closed casket, homie. See, I ain't for it. I'm not for it. I'm not for it. It's gonna stop one way or the other. It's going to stop one way or the other. It's going to stop one way or the other now. That's all I can tell you.
Don't do anything with it. Watch him. Not when he's doing something. Just make sure he doesn't do something. Okay, well, I've been here for...
But here you got this naked white man that's done killed 3 people. One of them an innocent little child. He running at the police. He choking bystanders and all of this. And they locked him up without incident. Without so much as a broke nail.
And many more shall in the days to come. Onwards to adventure. Thank you very much to all of us, most Patreon producers who helped make this video possible. Dylan Thomas, Joshua Cross, Spencer Purcell, Lewis of the Sun, Doodles Dancing, Virtual.
So unless you can, like I said, unless all you white supremacists and all you racists and all you folks that think that the killing of unarmed black people is justified or whatever, unless one of you can show me why it's okay for this white man to still be alive and for these black men to be dead, unless you can show me that in a way that makes sense, I don't want to hear it. But I got something I do want y'all to hear. I got something I want y'all to hear. Y'all know how my computer is. You know, it gets slow and don't want to load like it's supposed to. But you need to hear this. You need to hear this, because this is something that we really, really need to take heed to. And this is something that we really, really need to start doing. And we need to start doing this on a mass scale all over this country. It's one of the first steps. Now, arming up, being ready, understanding that this is war, understanding that every time you step out the door, there's a possibility that you might not make it back home. Not being out by yourself, not engaging these race socials and all these folks and no whole lot of conversation and all of that. Yeah, all of that we got to do. But this is something else too that we need to take into consideration. Hold on. Yes, let me find it for you so you can hear it for yourself. because I can't explain it as well as he did.
Family.
And I'll have it linked in the description box so you can hear the whole thing.
You have to stand up at a certain point. Race, your creed or color is death. The police officers in the police department do not respond. They have no legal obligation to leave international court. That will force them.
Now, just listen.
Insure police departments the money, and they put it in a direction that benefits them as a whole, not separate, not this individual, that individual, collectively. What am I saying? The police officers in the police department do not respond. They have no legal obligation to leave us alone. Okay, they do not work for us as citizens. They are not obligated to protect the citizens. Okay, you have to understand what that means. But the insurance companies that insure police departments, the insurance companies that insure their weapons, their uniforms, their police vehicles, their patrol vehicles, that is the direction that we have to go into. We must sue the insure companies, the liability insurance that insures their entire police department. The moment the insurer even hears that they are about to be sued or they're going to be threatened with a class action lawsuit by a group that represents all of us at one time, specifically a religious group that is recognized by the world court, the international court, that will force them to tell the police department, hey, either you stop harassing, harming, and killing black people, brown people, inner city people. But specifically, right now, I'm going to say black people because we are the ones that are being seen to be affected most. Our brown brothers, you are affected too. So don't get mad. All right? That's one major key that's different that we need to jump on. The Jewish people know that. They operate along with that. They know. Another thing, we have to call them what they are. They are not police officers. They are slave patrollers. And to be very specific, under the United States Code, Title 18, subsection 5, you have something called domestic terrorism, using coercion, force, threats. They are terrorists when they are operating outside of the law, which they do quite often. They are terrorists, domestic terrorists. And also when it comes to suing them, the insurance companies that insure them, we have to say that you are aiding and abetting a domestic terrorist, and you are aiding and abetting or assisting and supporting terrorist activities and behavior. All right. Now, see, now we're talking about laws. Now you're talking about hitting them in a way where it's going to force them to back up off of us because they are singling us out. They are giving water and masks out to white people on beaches, and then up the street they are terrorizing us. See. Next point: liability insurance. It will also force an outside review. Because they always want to say we're going to do an internal investigation. Yes, I know they were saying that they're going to investigate these two Caucasian males. Yes, he was a former police officer. Yes, in Brunswick, Georgia. Yes, there's all of these different things. And it's been going on for about 2 months, maybe more. And they have not been brought to justice. And the prosecutors were changed multiple times. I get it. And they want to bring it to a grand jury. Great. All of that wonderful, great. Get it to a grand jury. But while that's going on, we need to, again, sue the insurers. Because that's going to push them off of us across the entire country, is what I'm saying. Next point. To the sisters, again. Talk to the brothers. Encourage the brothers. Build the brothers up. I saw a sister, I believe it was in New York, at a funeral. They were trying to mourn the loss of a loved one. The sister got ran up on by these terrorists. These domestic terrorists. NYPD domestic terrorists. Now, if there are any good cops. If.
Now I want y'all to hear that again.
Stop saying it. Offended by me just singling us out at the moment. I'm not. All right? That's one major key. It happened over here in Irwindale, California. It happened in multiple states where the people sued the insurer. And because the police department was seen as a heavy liability for the insurance company dropped them, and therefore they can't operate without insurance. All right? That's one major key.
Now, of course, this video will be linked in the description box. But you heard what he said. I'm sure you understand what he said. Just to summarize, we need to come together and we need to start filing class action lawsuits, not just against the police, not just against the city or whatever, but against the insurance company. The insurance company that provides that particular police department or that particular precinct or that particular sheriff's office or whatever with liability insurance, because they have to have liability insurance. They have to have insurance on the vehicles or on the weapons. They have to have insurance on the actual officers. They have to have insurance in order to function. That's what he's saying. And he's also saying that we have to cite in these class action suits, we have to cite that the insurance company is aiding and abetting in domestic terrorism, that they are actually helping these police officers perform these acts of terrorism, domestic terrorism against foundational Black Americans. So that's what he's saying is one thing that we need to do, and we can do that now. While all of this other stuff is being waited on, while we strapping up and we booting up, you understand what I'm saying? And we prepared and we understand that if you ready, if you already ready, you ain't got to get ready and all of that. But this is something that we can be doing now. All of these families who have family members or friends or whatever that are being brutalized and being falsely accused and falsely arrested and murdered and all of that. We have all of these acts of terrorism. And he's saying take all of that. We come together in class action suits. Well, you got anywhere between 50 and 100 people joining that same suit to turn it into a class action suit, and you sue, just bypass the city, bypass the police department, and go straight for the liability insurance company. You heard what he said. It happened in these other countries, these other cities and states, and because they wouldn't comply to what the insurance company was telling them that they need to do, because they wouldn't comply, the insurance companies dropped them. And they can't run their police departments without this liability insurance.
With removing the liability insurance, and therefore the entire police department will crumble. It happened over here in Irwindale, California. Brown Brothers, you are affected too. So don't get mad at me. I'm just to look at the insurance companies. They will force the police department to either stand down, stop what they're doing, or they're going to threaten them with removing the liability insurance. And therefore, the entire police department will crumble. It happened over here in Irwindale, California. It happened in multiple states where the people sued the insurer. And because the police department was seen as a heavy liability for the insurance company dropped them, and therefore they can't operate without insurance. All right? That's one major.
So like I said, I'm going to link this. If I don't link nothing else, if you don't do anything else from looking at this video other than going to this video and hearing what he has to say about that prospect, just about that aspect of what we as a people need to do. And we need to get that popping. We need to get that popping. If you got 100 people that are ready to join this class action suit, and each one of these people provide $10, You understand what I'm saying? That should be enough to go find an attorney to just draw up the initial paperwork and get it filed. An attorney to find out exactly which insurance company needs to be sued, and draft up the initial paperwork and get it filed. These folks running around here with GoFundMe's and all this kind of stuff for all this other stupid mess. This is what we need GoFundMe's for. So we can get the right kind of legal representation. So we can get legal representation. You know, so somebody needs to get in contact with RZA and find out exactly, and I might be the one to do it, and find out exactly step by step how we go about starting this process. But I just wanted to come on here tonight and I just wanted to give y'all some information. You understand what I'm saying? I just wanted to let y'all know that, you know, they are protesting. There are protests going on right now in Indianapolis because of the Sean Reed situation. I'll just read a little something to you. This is coming from wishtv.com 8. Protesters gather after fatal shooting of Sean Reed on Facebook Live. Emotions were high as hundreds rallied downtown Thursday afternoon on the steps outside the city-county building. The response shows it's not just the family feeling the impact of Sean Reed's death in a Wednesday night shooting involving Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. There was a whirlwind of emotions, tears, yelling, marching, all combined into the downtown event. The downtown streets have cleared out by Thursday night, but more protests were underway near the shooting scene in the 62nd hundred block of Michigan Road on the north side. People quickly took to the streets during the downtown protest. Reed's dad and sister were part of the downtown group. The common message was the fatal shooting didn't have to happen. Raw was the best description of the emotion spewing from the downtown crowd of hundreds. It's heartbreaking to see. We watched him die. Over 30,000 people watched him die, said friend Lamari Edwards, in reference to a Facebook Live that Reed recorded as he fled police and was shot. Community activist James Wilson said, that could have easily been me rolling down the street no matter what the situation. He's angry but wants to assure that anger is not directed at all officers. Instead, he wants people to use the same energy to demand IMPD policy changes. Too many officer-involved shootings over the last 5 to 10 years, and nothing has changed. So what are we going to do to change that? So, you know, and that little clip from RZA and that piece of wisdom from RZA just gives us something to think about. So it gives us a direction that we can go in. And if we get on code and as a collective, we move in the same direction, then we can have some power. And we can make something happen. He says that it's already been done in other states. So if it's already being done in other states, in other cities, then, okay, it's got to become more prominent. It's got to become a regular thing. It's got to become something that these police departments recognize can happen at the drop of a hat. And just that quick, they can lose their liability insurance. You understand what I'm saying? And if they lose that insurance and don't have that insurance, they cannot function. They cannot operate as a police department. So y'all make sure that you go in that description box. And if nothing else, you click that link on that video so that you can see all that he has to say as far as what we need to do. Now, you may not agree with everything that you hear. You may not, you know, I don't agree with everything I hear everybody saying. But what's the old saying? You take the meats and you take the meat and you throw away the bones. You take what you can use and you discard the rest. So, don't go on the video talking about, well, he said this and no. Listen to everything that he has to say and take what's useful for us as a group, as a collective. Because, see, that's the problem. We got too many black folks that are in this all for just themselves. They're not concerned about what's happening with the group. They're not concerned about what's happening with foundational Black Americans as a whole. And that's where we fall short of all these other groups. All these other groups are interested in what's happening with the group as a whole. They're not interested in one person being above everybody else. And as long as I make it, I ain't worrying about whether you make it. And as long as I get mine, I'm not worried about whether you get yours. See, they don't function like that. The folks in dominant society, the white folks don't function like that. The Asians don't function like that. The Hispanics don't function like that. The Arabs don't function like that. None of these other groups function like that except for us. That crabs in the barrel mentality. And we got to get rid of it. So y'all make sure that, you check out these links. Make sure you like this video. Make sure that you share this video. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we upload videos, and understand that justice won't be justice until a black man can do the same thing that this white boy did in the beginning of this video and walk away from it. Yeah, he might walk away from it locked up. He might walk away from it, in handcuffs or whatever, but he walks away from it alive. There's no justice. There's no equality. You understand what I'm saying? There's no real freedom, and there will be no real peace until a black man can do that, just like what we just seen this little white boy do. Y'all have a good night.